Good morning, or just good afternoon, only just. Monday, the 6th of November. I'm Charlie Lambden. This is Moving Home with Charlie, and this is my weekly Moving Market Monday, where we just cover the headlines in both sales and lettings for those of you who are trying to move house or into the housing market. And we're also live on TikTok today, so say hi if you're there. Now, this week coming up, tomorrow, Tuesday, we've got the Halifax House Price Index for October. And before anyone freaks out, whatever it says, whether it's up or whether it's down, all the house price indices at the moment are far less dependable than usual because of the amount of turbulence and change in the property market. The mathematical model that's used to calculate these indices, whether it's the lenders or the Office of National Statistics, it's got all kinds of variations in it, which struggle to be accurate when the market is like it is now, with lower transaction volumes and downsizing and that kind of stuff. So, whether the Halifax House Price Index says prices went up or prices went down month on month, it doesn't change the fact that it's not as reliable as usual. So, even if it shows prices going down month on month, I will still say the same. It's not as reliable as usual, okay? Before anyone, and I've got no prediction on what it's going to say. It's impossible to predict what they're going to say because they're being so unreliable at the moment. Anyway, that's that. We've also got the King's speech out this week, which are going to be talking about hopefully leasehold reform, which, if it actually ever happens, would be a very good thing for people. But just quickly, I want to cover this week. We're going to start off on the lettings market because those of you who've been watching my channel for a long time will know that I've been expecting rents to start falling for the very simple reason that the cost of living crisis, which we are 18 months into now, is going to hit renters harder than anybody else, right? And so it was only a question of time until people just got to the end of their fixed term tenancy and wanted to move out or move back in with friends or move back in with parents or whatever it might be. And I will share it on the screen now for everyone except those who are on TikTok. So this is from a company called Good Lord, and also this is a month-on-month change that they're talking about. And I'm also going to, for comparison purposes, also going to show the HomeLet rental index, which says that rents are going up, but they're talking about year on year, because I really want everyone to understand the importance of the difference between when you look at year on year indices, whether it's for sales or for rentals, they often will not tell you what's happening in the most recent months because they don't tend to reflect that for at least 6 months until after the market's changed direction. Anyway, let's just read what Good Lord said. So they said the lettings market saw a dip in the price of rents in October after a red hot summer. The lettings market saw a post-summer dip in the price of rents in October following the 3 months of rapidly escalating prices across England. According to the latest Good Lord rental index, the average rent on new tenancies dropped by 11% over the last month as the heat of July to September dissipated. At the same time, voids lengthened by 29%. Now, voids lengthening by 29%, which is nearly a third, so from 14 days to 18 days, is another signal that demand is cooling as we head into the traditionally quieter winter months. Now, for people who are living in areas where rents really are dropping, and there are some areas where they really are, and in fact, in the next index I show you, it's got a really good regional breakdown. Lengthening voids is a negotiation tool for tenants who may want to negotiate a reduction in their rent with landlords as part of their survival, cost of living, and everything else situation. And it might sound ridiculous to some of you, but I can promise you that there are already people in the UK who are going to be, if they're not still within the fixed term of their tenancy, are going to be in a position to potentially, depending on where you are, how well you've behaved as a tenant, etc., that if you can show that like-for-like prices for properties like yours in the area that you're renting have now gone lower than the rent you're paying, you're in a position to talk to a landlord. And landlords don't want voids. And if void periods are increasing, it might be a rare opportunity when the boot is on the other foot and tenants, some of you, not all of you, but in some areas, and if you've behaved well as a tenant and if the landlord wants to keep you, and this is when it really does pay dividends to be a well-behaved tenant. If you're a pain in the arse tenant and you say, look, lower my rent, I'm going to go, the landlord's going to say, bye, 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 bye. You can be someone else's problem. But if you're a really reliable tenant that's treated the property with respect, a landlord is very likely, if he can see that market rents have lowered in the area where you're living, And therefore, he's less likely to get someone in paying the rent you're paying, and also is risking a void. You just might have a chance of doing that. Anyway, let me move on to the next index, because this is a PDF. And by the way, I've linked to these below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching this on TikTok and you want to see the links to these, just go and Google Good Lord Rental Index or Homelet Rental Index, and you'll find these reports. But there, I'm not going to go into it now, but just wanted to show you a snapshot of what you've got to look at there. It's a long report. I mean, it's 17, 18 pages of a real breakdown of the nation's rental data. But it doesn't show, as far as I can see, I've only had a quick look at it, it doesn't show monthly changes. That's why Homelet's headline, when it put the rental index out last week, was rents going up. But Good Lord is saying that, yeah, year on year, rents are higher, but month on month, they've started to fall. And 11% is a big drop. There'll be seasonal fluctuations in there as well. But anyway, so there's some news on the rental market that I think is good news for tenants. And I'm afraid yet more bad news for landlords who are already facing a pretty tough time of it in general. And by the way, I am absolutely impartial with you guys between landlords and tenants, because you need each other. And you've got to play nice. And when you do play nice, it's better for both of you. And when you punch each other in the face repeatedly, it just never works out well for either of you. I'm talking metaphorically, obviously. No one do that. Now, on to the next point, which is a story on Bloomberg that came out this morning. Now, this is about new builds. And it's talking about the incentive that new builders are offering. And the headline is, buy a home, get a Tesla. Now, first of all, you really shouldn't. If you're someone who wants to buy a Tesla, no judgment. I actually have a Tesla, but I would neither recommend nor not recommend them. I don't like it, but I can't fault it. It's a no-brainer financially to buy it, but I prefer my internal combustion engine cars. If you actually want a Tesla, and you get it because you've bought a house, because you've overpaid for a house, so they include a 40 grand car for you, you're effectively buying the Tesla with your mortgage. So that Tesla is costing you whatever your mortgage interest rate is. And right now, what I can also tell you is that Tesla is doing 0% finance on a new Tesla. I looked on the website because I heard about this on certain models, on Model 3, 0% finance. So in other words, if they're offering you a new Tesla, say, I'm afraid that's going to cost me more than just getting one on 0% finance. It's not a worthwhile incentive, okay? What you should do is say, thank you very much for the offer. I prefer you to just take 40 grand off the price of the house, please, because I don't want to be borrowing 40 grand more on my mortgage to pay for the Tesla that you're actually giving me, because, of course, it's not a free Tesla. You are paying for it out of the profit margin of the property. Now, the bit I wanted to show you on this story in particular, again, linked to the stories below, is this comment here, which I highlighted. Is it still there? Yeah. So Taylor Wimpey PLC said this summer, incentives were running at 5% of the house price, compared with about 2% last year, with the company offering mortgage contributions, deposit help, and personalized home upgrades. So mortgage contributions, which means we'll pay your mortgage for a year or 2 years. Just say to them, thanks, I'd rather have the money off the price, please, because you are effectively adding that to the balance of your mortgage. They are paying it out of the profit they've made of the house to you. Just say, no, please take that amount off the price. Deposit help. Now, if the deposit help makes the difference between you being able to buy the home you want and not, then it's something that may be worth considering. But again, still, it's coming out of what you're borrowing. And the mortgage companies will not let them give incentives of more than 5% of the house price, typically. So I've heard from mortgage brokers. Personalized home upgrades, however, can be worthwhile because that's actually adding some value to the property. But I would still make sure that they're not using that as an excuse to make you overpay too much on the house price, okay? And the best way to negotiate the absolute best deal on a new build is to make sure that you find two different properties that you like equally and just say to each one of them, I'm looking at your one and I'm looking at their one, and whoever offers me the best deal is the one I'm going with, okay? And if they know you are a serious buyer and you're going to proceed, then you will very quickly find out exactly, because they will cut each other's knees off to get your business. So that's something, and again, the whole article on Bloomberg is actually talking about how tough the new homes market is. And it's got a graph there showing how transactions are low very low this year, and forecast to be less next year as well. Whatever happens in the King's Speech and leasehold reform may or may not affect builders as well. So it's an interesting time for new homes builders, definitely a period of change for them. And the last point, there's a story out again this morning on Bloomberg. The UK is likely in recession right now, Bloomberg's analysis shows. Now, I'm not going to go into the details of this. There's a link below if you want to look at it. But the relevance of it to the housing market is, sorry, I'll just keep it up on the screen there. That if you are someone who is trying to work out what's likely to happen to house prices and you're confused and you're on the fence and you're undecided, the number one thing that pulls house prices down, even more than interest rates, is people's likely income. It's employment, basically. It's people losing jobs will put a negative pressure on house prices if unemployment is rising. If wage growth turns negative, which I'm expecting to do, that will also contribute to falling house prices. Rising interest rates are an accelerant on falling house prices, and we still haven't seen the full effect of that come through yet. But yeah, that's it. At the moment, I'm still unfortunately very bearish on the economy, and therefore bearish on house prices, and therefore still expect the full 35% nominal peak to trough average price falls across the UK. But there will be as many places that only see 15% falls as there are places that see 50% falls. There will be big regional variations both in the amount and in the timing, and we're about roughly a third of the way through those falls so far, maybe slightly more. And there's a real delayed effect because of the delay of interest rate rises impacting people on fixed rates. That's like a slow motion time bomb going off. And guys, I am here, number one, primarily to bring transparency to what's happening to house prices. And I'm doing that with the Best Agent All Homes Index, which is on this page here. If you're watching this on TikTok and you can't see the page, just go to bestagent.news and you'll see the data. The snapshot data I've got here is from the 29th of October, but I'm hoping that later today there'll be an updated snapshot showing the median prices and the average prices of sold and unsold properties, and also lettings prices for England and Wales. All right. So my mission with this channel, using the data from Best Agent, is to bring transparency, total transparency to house prices, because at the moment there isn't any, and that's what causes most of the industry's problems. Do I have any questions that you guys would like me to answer? So Ashraf Islam on YouTube says, if rents are on the downward slope and mortgage rates and property maintenance is going up, is this not the end of the buy-to-let market? It is certainly the end of the buy-to-let market for people who are having to borrow. Okay, so if you're having to pay high rates of interest on your buy-to-let mortgage, it's extremely difficult to make it profitable. But if you are a cash buyer doing buy-to-let, then as long as you're happy and you understand what's involved, it's not a set and forget investment. Buy-to-let is a hands-on, it's an occupation more than an investment. Any other questions? Hi guys, Jill, Chris, James. Hi guys. Slice of Toast, I love that name, on YouTube says, can we trust the Good Lord data? How do they calculate the average across England? Perhaps people are just running smaller properties due to the cost of living. So what I know is that they get to see the actual rental price agreed on new tenancies. I don't know what their sample size is. They don't divulge that. But they are a big company, and they handle thousands of tenancies across the country every single month. And so it's certainly a credible one. I've got the link below. Go and check it out for yourself. Go look at the details. But I would certainly say that I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong or I believe it or I don't. I'm simply saying that I think it is an interesting index worth keeping an eye on. Jill Hayes says on YouTube, just moved out of rented. Our landlord was trying to relet at an additional £350 a month. We were paying $2,000 a month. He's now reduced it back to $2,000 after a couple of weeks. Still not let. Yeah, someone called Tea Lady on YouTube. Hello, Tea Lady. You're new here. Welcome. Rents definitely dropped a chunk since the summer. A property in our area of West Cornwall, which would fetch $1,500 in the summer, is now at best $1,250. Interesting stuff. Any other questions? Do I think rents will drop in Scotland? Some human says, do I think rents will drop in Scotland? Assuming that Scotland is facing the same cost of living challenges as England, I can't see how it will avoid them. The only thing that would change that is if Scotland sees a disproportionate increase in people moving to Scotland with more money. I know they've got rent caps in Scotland, haven't they now? But the rent caps don't apply to new builds. Sorry, 1 second. I don't know. I haven't got a strong opinion on that. But if the cost of living continues to bite in Scotland as it has on everywhere else, then yes. No, I can't advise on buying a property with spray foam insulation. That's not my area. Dave Spiegel says, I'll be making a long distance move across the country early 24. Any advice on how to handle agents' viewings? Yeah, what I would be doing is making sure that when you request your viewing, you will include as much information to back up your situation and the reasons for your move as possible, and then I would try to limit the number of times you have to go backwards and forwards, but go up there, spend a few days there if you can, try and get a block of viewings in there and spend some time then get to know it, because it's really, really, really hard when you're moving a long distance across country. XR2828 says, is there a way to see what mortgage companies are valuing properties at? No, there isn't. Are they seeing lots of down valuations? So anecdotally, from mortgage brokers, I am hearing about quite a lot of down valuations, but there's no actual data on that. Alex on YouTube asks, how long do you think it will take for new build asking prices to get in line with market conditions? They never will. The asking prices never will. But what I would remind everybody is that asking price is just it's a conversation starter. It is a frankly irrelevant number. If you are potentially in the market for a new build, it's an opening offer. An asking price for the seller is the same as an opening offer for a buyer. It's where they're starting the negotiations at. And unlike people selling second-hand homes or their own homes, the new build guys have got all kinds of incentives they can dangle. Oh, we'll pay a mortgage for a year. Oh, we'll give you a new car. And so you kind of just have to disregard the asking price. I know that sounds silly, and a lot of people struggle with that concept, but just ignore asking prices. In a buyer's market, in a generally falling market like we're now, go around to view the properties you want to view. If you think that the price is ridiculously over the top, still go and view it, because you don't know. I'm actually going to be doing another video, probably today, all about why I think December is an amazing opportunity for people to snap up the earliest real bargains if you're someone that doesn't want to wait for a new home. Generally speaking, if you can waiting I think is quite good. But if you need a home and want a home now, I'm going to be doing a video on exactly how to arm yourself and be ready before December begins, with everything that you need to give yourself the best chance of bagging a proper bargain from a highly motivated seller who goes, I just want to get this sold before Christmas. So on new builds, just go and view them. They will be glad to show you around in this market. Go and view them. And just say, look, we know that it's a tough market at the moment. We're looking for what are the best deals on offer. We don't want to be overpaying the asking price and getting financial incentives. But if you want to upgrade the property, maybe we'll listen and just see what they offer you. Bite Your Asp on YouTube says, can we identify when house prices have been corrected? Yes, but not for a long time, unfortunately, because of the delay in house prices, which is another reason why I'm trying to bring the transparency to the market. By the way, if any of you have you got questions on TikTok I'm missing? Hi, Charlie. I'm a young man, 22, with a small family. Where do I start getting my own home? That's CJB181 on TikTok. CJB, are you talking about buying or renting? Let me know, and I'll answer you. Guys, there's one other thing I want to say is that I have, without revealing it, because it's a lot of work to do to reveal it properly, but I just this morning have become aware of some information which may help explain the rampant overvaluing and high expectations by sellers, and even pricing that's caught out agents who thought they priced it sensibly and still can't sell it. there is a real mismatch in the housing market at the moment, and it continues. That there's standoff between buyers and sellers. Um, I think a lot of asking prices, some of them are clearly just silly and unrealistic. A lot of them genuinely think that they're being reasonable, uh, and are bewildered as to why they're not selling. I think there's an answer, which I'll be coming on to as soon as I can. Not in this video, though. Voiceover guy says, "Do I think this will help clear out the shoddy landlords?" Well, if they own their properties without a mortgage, no, because they're going to be under no pressure. But the shoddy landlords with a high mortgage, yes, it will help clear those guys out. XL2828 says, "How do I know when the Land Registry releases the latest agreed sold prices? Do I just need to keep checking?" So the Land Registry actually takes over a year to complete the registration of all the properties that sold in a given month, which is why when they release their latest house price index, it has such a small sample. It only contains, roughly speaking, about 10% of what actually sold in the most recent month. And then every month they keep on adding more and more and more. And then about a year later, they get to about 80, 90%. And then they're still adding them. The long tail of late arrivals is still coming even after a year and 18 months. So, no, it's and it's also a complete lottery as to which ones get done early, which ones get done late. However, having said that, I would like to make it clear that one of my objectives with Best Agent, working with the agents that I work with that are using the Best Agent CRM system, for those that wish to do so, it will be to share their exchange price data. And I don't mean publish the exact exchange price on an exact property, because there are privacy issues there that the owner may not want to know. But but what we can do is have an exchanged price index, where if I can get as many as 10% of agents around the country to agree to share that, we will have a house price index that will just blow all the other ones out of the water as being out of date and inaccurate. We will have the first ever index of actual sold prices as they happen. And I'm working towards that, because that would obviously help everybody. BT on YouTube says, "Hi, Charlie. What have you got against houses?" On that happy note, I'm going to wrap it up, guys. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you on the next video, guys. And remember, if you are out there looking and bidding and buying, make certain that you've got your mortgage in principle ready, which must have a lender's name on the top of it. Just having a random anonymous mortgage in principle isn't really a mortgage in principle. So mortgage in principle. Have your conveyancer appointed and ready. Have your proof of deposit funds, and have your ready to buy your search pack if your offer is accepted. And with those 4 things, you will have a much higher chance of getting your offer accepted, especially if you're competing against other people. If you don't have any of your own, if you haven't got your own independent mortgage broker or your own conveyancer, and you can't be able to define one that you trust, I've got some handpicked guys I work with. I can put you in touch with them on my website there, mhwc.co.uk. But until the next time, thanks a lot, guys. I will see you soon. Bye-bye, guys.